Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for the second episode of our free online Log 360 workshop series. So I'm Siddharth, and I work here as a product specialist for the ID security solutions at Manage Engine, and it is my pleasure to have you all here today. I just want to make sure at this point that my voice is audible and that you have no issue in viewing my shared screen. So in case you have any difficulties, please let us know right away on the live chat and we'll try to sort them out. So I just wait for maybe 30 seconds, and in case everything is good to go, we can start off with the workshop. Right, so I hope everything is all right with the webinar setup. So as you know, we've revamped our workshop agenda, and today in part 2 of the series, we're going to be looking at how our product Log 360 helps you with comprehensive network device auditing. So it's really great to have you all here today, and I want to try and keep this workshop short and crisp because I know you've taken time off from precious working hours. So my objective today is going to be to brief you regarding the device configuration and also give you insights on what are the things you can do with our reports and alerts in order to secure your network. So I hope you've downloaded the product to have a look at it. And in case you haven't, I urge you to try it out hands-on because like I mentioned last week, when you look at a product and go through the different sections, you may well realize that there is a neat solution for a problem that you struggled with in the past. I also want to let you know that coming up in the next few weeks, we're going to be having next week on auditing your business critical applications like your web servers. And the week after that, we're going to be looking at database auditing. So stay tuned with us and join in for week 3 and week 4 as well. So let's get started with today's workshop. And in last week's workshop, I hope you were able to get an idea of our product Log 360. And today I'm going to be focusing on your network devices. Now, as a security administrator, you would agree with me that keeping close tabs on your network device configurations and the activity in your network in general is a primary concern. And obviously, you want to ensure that everything is up and running smoothly in your network, and you want to ensure that the traffic in your network is coming from trusted sources so that only the right people have access to your network resources. And of course, you want to ensure that there is no suspicious or anomalous behavior which could well be due to an ongoing attack. And I think you will agree with me on this, that attacks can happen to organizations of any size. And when they do happen, the blame is usually going to fall on the administrators. So you, the people, the administrators, have a really challenging job at hand. And the issue is because breaches can go beyond just the cost of data loss, meaning you face the bigger issue of losing the trust of a customer. So you're not just looking at a heavy financial penalty, but you're also looking at a loss of trust. Right, so basically the building blocks of your network would be your routers and switches, your firewalls, and your IDS and IPS systems. Now your network devices are going to generate what are called syslogs, of course. And these syslogs contain all the valuable information that you need in order to get a complete control over your network and mitigate security threats. And of course, like it is with the case with any other log data, your network devices are going to generate massive amounts of syslogs, which is where our SIEM product Log 360 comes into the picture. So you can think of our SIEM portfolio as a single console which is able to collect and consolidate log data from all your network devices and analyze them in real time in order to give you detailed reports and, most importantly in my view, real-time alerts. I say alerts as the most important because as a security administrator, you want to be instantly notified when a security event of interest occurs. For example, if you take your network's IDS system, it might flag or log a particular event. And what our solution can do is it can collect and analyze the log and throw up an alert for you. And all this is done in real time. So I think it is very evident, even without me mentioning all this, that there is a need for network device auditing and getting these real-time alerts. So I'm going to start off by showing you our product, and I just want to let you know that if you have any difficulties or any queries with the workshop, you can ask them on the live chat and we'll try to answer them right away. Right, so when it comes to network device auditing, there are basically two prerequisites or two things that you need to do in order to audit your network devices. So the first thing is that you need to add the network device to Event Log Analyzer. And then of course, the second is to enable the network device to send its logs to Event Log Analyzer server. So I hope this point is clear that you have to enable the particular network device to send its syslogs to the Log360 server or the Event Log Analyzer server. So think of it as you giving our product something to work with. And in this case, of course, it is the syslogs. And once you do that, our product can start to do its thing. So in essence, what you need to do is first configure the network device. You need to tell the network device that, hey, generate logs for these events. And the second thing is you need to make sure that the logs are coming to Event Log Analyzer so that Event Log Analyzer can parse them and generate the reports and alerts. So since adding these devices and collecting logs is the first and fundamental step in SIEM, we have tried to make this as easy as possible. So let me show you how you can add any syslog device to Event Log Analyzer very easily using the automatic network discovery feature. So I'm just going to jump to the Event Log Analyzer installation of mine. And right here I have the Add drop-down menu and I'm going to click on Device. So before I mention, look at the network discovery side of it, I just wanted to mention that we've also got automatic Windows discovery. So you can automatically detect all the Windows devices in your network in order to add them for monitoring, meaning you can detect your devices, your workstations, and of course your domain controllers. So that's also another feature within the product. But today I'm going to be focusing, of course, on syslog devices. So I'm just going to go to the syslog devices tab right here and click on the add device button. So here all I need to do is add the device is I need to give the host name or the IP address and then click on the add button. But rather than doing that, I can very easily discover all the syslog devices in my network and then easily select the devices that I want to add to the Event Log Analyzer. So I'm going to click on the Discover and Add link. And here I'm going to specify an IP address range or a CIDR range. So by specifying a particular range, Event Log Analyzer will automatically scan your network based on the range that you specified, and it will show you all the syslog devices present in that range. So I'm just going to go with this particular IP address range. And next what I need to do is I need to pick the SNMP credential. So of course we've got a default public credential, or I can also add a new credential in order to carry out the scan. So say for this demo, I'm just going to go with the default public credential, and then I'm going to click on the scan button. So now based on the IP address or CIDR range that you specified and with the SNMP credential, which is the public credential in this case, Event Log Analyzer will automatically scan your network and discover the syslog devices in the specified range. So I've just added a few syslog devices in the network, so simulated, that's where I can show you how this works. And you can see in a few seconds all the devices in that particular range have been neatly listed out for me. And of course, actually the device type and vendor will also be specified. But in this case, since it's just a simulated bunch of syslog devices, it shows unknown. So all I need to do to then add a particular syslog device to event log analyzer is simply click on the respective device checkboxes and click on the add devices button. So you can see instantly that these two devices have been added. And in case it's a Linux or Unix device, you'll be prompted to enable the automatic log forwarding. So I told you that the second step in adding the network devices for monitoring is to configure the device to send its logs to event log analyzer. So this can be done for Linux or Unix devices automatically from within the console itself. So I can just click on the automatic log forwarding link right here, and by specifying the root credentials for that particular Unix device and specifying the event log analyzer server IP and the port and also the protocol, I can go with UDP or TCP, I can easily start to collect the logs from those devices. And in case it's a network device, which is what we're going to be dealing with today, what you need to do is now go to the particular network device that you're concerned with and enable that network device to generate logs and send it to event log analyzer server. So you might be using say Cisco or SonicWall or Juniper or Palo Alto. Now the best part is we provide out-of-the-box support for these top vendors. So you need to just go to your Cisco device or your SonicWall device, and you need to go into the login as an administrator, of course, and you need to configure for what are the events that you want to generate logs for, like based on the severity. And then you need to just configure the event log analyzer server IP address and the port, and you can start sending the logs in real time. So it's just a couple of steps that you need to follow on the network device, and you've already added the device from in the event log analyzer console. So once you do these two steps, you'll immediately be able to receive the syslogs in real time. So I just wanted to mention here about the out-of-the-box support, because we were initially providing out-of-the-box support for Cisco, and we then got requests that you guys wanted more out-of-the-box support, because out-of-the-box support is something that makes your life a lot easier. Because if you have out-of-the-box support, predefined reports and alerts in place, then you don't have anything to worry from a configuration end. You can, of course, still use event log analyzer for other vendors using the custom log parsing feature, but that would mean a little bit more work. So in case you're using an other network device vendor, you can always request us that you would like to have out-of-the-box support for this particular vendor, and we take these requests very seriously here, and we try to bring them out as soon as possible. So initially we had out-of-the-box support for Cisco, and in the last few months we've added out-of-the-box support, meaning the predefined reports and alerts for SonicWall, for Juniper, and for Palo Alto. And we're also going to be adding it soon for Fortinet devices. So that was with the network discovery and how you can add syslog devices for monitoring. So now what I'm going to show you is, if you remember from the previous workshop, we discussed about privileged user monitoring. Now that was with the Active Directory context, of course. But the thing is, you have privileged users in the context of network devices as well. Now when it came to Active Directory, your privileged users could make changes. They could make changes to, say, your computers, to your users, to your GPOs. Now you need, in the case of network devices, you need to track the activity of your network administrators, because they have the power to make critical configuration changes. Now your network is all working clockwork because of all the configurations in place. Now if any of these configurations are tampered with, it can create loopholes in your network security. It can create, for example, if someone is not supposed to access a particular server and some network configuration was made to enable that access, now that's a big problem that you're going to face. So you need to be able to track all the configuration changes which includes the privileged user logons. You need to track what are the commands that they're executing, what are the configurations that they're changing, and what are the rules that they're modifying. So with that in mind, I just want to quickly show you our product again. And I'm going to be showing you reports. So like I mentioned, we've got out-of-the-box support for Cisco, and then for SonicWall, Juniper, and Palo Alto. So say I'm looking at a SonicWall device, and I'm going to be interested in tracking the logons to the firewall, meaning the administrators who are logging on to the firewall. Obviously, the firewall changes, the rule changes and configuration changes are going to directly affect my network security. So obviously, I need to be on top of which are the admins logging into the device and which are the admins going on to make changes to the firewall configurations. So I've got neat predefined reports here. So if I look at the tab firewall logon reports, under that I've got a bunch of reports like the successful logons, the failed logons, and so on. So if I want to track, say, the successful logons, I can just click it and I get the data. So I can track things that concern me, like which was the device, which was the time of the logon, the username, the source IP address, and so on. And as we discussed last week, with logons, of course, we're going to be concerned with failed logons as well. So I've got reports like the top failed logons by users. So that report will tell me which are the users which are having the most number of failed logons to the firewall device. Now, this could mean, for example, if I have one particular user who's making too many failed logons onto the firewall, it could well mean that he doesn't have the credentials, but he's sort of trying to guess the password and log into the firewall device. Now, as I mentioned with Active Directory Audit Plus last week, the best part is you can associate all these predefined reports into alerts. So anytime a critical configuration change happens for any of these particular predefined reports, you can be alerted in real time. So I'll just jump to the alert tab and show you what we can do there. I'm going to click on add alert profile. I'll just quickly show you what we can do here, and then we'll revisit this in a small use case in a bit. So if I've got this section where I can define the alert criteria, and I've got a bunch of predefined alerts right here. So if I just click on that and go for, say, Juniper devices, so you might be using Juniper in your network, I can easily track the logons and the configurations. We've got reports for all these events that you see, and we can easily associate them into alerts. So I can track, for example, the logons being made into my Juniper device. So in case I want to be alerted each time someone makes a logon to the Juniper device, I can configure that. And the reason I'd be interested in the logons, of course, is because what you see next here, the configuration reports. I might be wanting alerts for the commands executed by my administrators on my Juniper devices. I can get alerts for configuration errors because, like I mentioned, these things can put your network security at risk by creating loopholes in the system. Now, whether it was done by a naive administrator who changed something by mistake, or whether it was with malicious intent, no matter what, you still need to be able to track all of this. So for that, we've given predefined reports for you to conduct a thorough network audit, and we've given you the ability to associate all these reports to alerts so that you can get real-time notifications when any critical change that interests you happens. So I'll be revisiting this alerts section in a bit. I just wanted to mention this because in the case of configuration changes and tracking things like your device logons and the other configuration changes, you might want to associate these events to alerts. So that's why I thought I'd show that to you right away. And the next thing that we can look at is the firewall auditing. And as you know, firewalls directly deal with the incoming and outgoing traffic in your network, and they have the power to grant or deny accesses. So obviously you want the traffic in your network to be from trusted and from the authenticated sources. so that only the right people gain access to your organization's resources. So with that in mind, we've basically broken down comprehensive firewall auditing into 4 heads, right? So we've got the first head, which is user auditing and account management. So these reports would track the activity of your firewall's administrators, allowing you to track the users and group policies that have been, say, added or deleted. And you can look at things like the successful and failed logons and the commands executed. So the first head was actually what we looked at just before this slide. The second is the traffic monitoring. Now these reports can give you control over the allowed traffic, which includes the website traffic and so on, allowing you to track the traffic based on parameters such as the source, the destination, and the protocol. And then you've got the third head, which is the change monitoring, which ensures that you're able to track changes to your firewall rules, to your network policy, to your access points, all of which are critical to the configuration and functioning of your firewall. And of course, the same concept can be extended to any of your network devices. And then you've got the fourth head, which is security. And these reports give you information on the security attacks on your firewalls, such as, say, a SYN flood attack. Then you can look at things like the connections that have been denied, which could again be a potential security concern. So these 4 heads of firewall auditing are taken care of by our product. And in this way, you get complete control over your firewall. So I'm just going to show you a simple use case and my ideas so that you can get insights into what are the different things we can do with the product and hopefully help you solve your security problems. So I'm going to jump back to my product, and a very simple use case would be, say you've got a critical server in your organization that stores confidential, say, financial information. And obviously, you don't want this information to fall into the wrong hands. You don't want this information to go outside your organization. So as a security administrator, you might have already configured a firewall for this particular critical server. And the firewall is probably going to be configured so that any traffic coming from the outside, the external internet, is going to be denied. So that only the traffic that goes to the critical server must be from within your intranet. So what we can do with our SIAM solution is we can create an alert, which is sort of a preemptive step to prevent a security attack from happening. So we can create an alert so that anytime traffic is allowed from the external internet, you'll get a real-time notification. Now, this is not supposed to happen, but I'm saying in case for some reason it does happen, we can be alerted in real time and investigate what happened and quickly mitigate it in case it was a network attack. So in creating an alert profile, we didn't go through this in the previous slide, so I'll just go through this from scratch. When you want to create an alert profile, the first thing you do, of course, is give it a name. So say I call this the firewall traffic alert. And the next thing you do is set a severity for the alert. So I can go with high, medium, or low. So since this is going to be a very key security threat, I'm going to go with the severity as high. And then, of course, you select your device for which you want the alert to be thrown up. And say I'm going to go with this particular SonicWall device right here. Now, once you do that, you need to define the criteria for which you want to be alerted in real time for. Now, to do that, like I told you, we've got a bunch of predefined alerts which will cover pretty much most of the common security use cases. So say I go with, I'm going with SonicWall devices. What I can do is I can look at this firewall allowed traffic report. And you can see that because it's a predefined alert, the criteria for the alert gets automatically populated. Now, in addition to doing something like this, I can also track denied connections. So let me just cancel this. So you can see we've got a bunch of firewall denied connection alerts. So say I look at tracking the denied connections for the firewall, and in case I'm having way too many denied connections in a very short span of time, I instantly know that maybe someone is trying to intrude my network. So that is where I can tweak the alert criteria and say number of occurrences as 50 times in 1 minute. Or of course, you can change this number depending on your security requirements. So if I do that, I can be alerted each time there are 50 or more denied connections within 1 minute, which is of course a massive red flag. Next, of course, I can choose the mode of notification for this alert, which could be the email or run program or the SMS. The email, of course, is an email alert, quite straightforward, and the SMS, of course, gives you the ability to be alerted on the go. And the run program alert allows you to run a custom script upon the alert criteria being triggered so that you can proactively mitigate the threat. So once you decide your mode of notification, all you need to do is click on Add Alert Profile and the alert gets configured. So say I was going with a email notification. I just enter my email ID, optionally give a subject and any notes, and I can click on Add Alert Profile. Or I just got to reduce the content in the body. So once you've done this, now I'm going to be alerted for the criteria that I set. Now, in a normal day, nothing bad should happen. But in case you're facing a network intrusion, you can be alerted for the criteria that you set. And once you're alerted, you can go to the Event Log Analyzer's reporting console. And here you can see the data for the allowed traffic, for the denied connections, and so on, and investigate what happened. And in case you discover that it is indeed an attack, you can of course take immediate steps to block the IP address and mitigate the threat. So here on the left pane, I've got things like the firewall denied connections. So say I look at the top denied connections based on the source, I neatly get a graph of what are the different IP addresses that are being denied connections by my firewall. So here I can notice that one particular IP address has abnormally high number of denied connections. So that could well be an erring IP address, meaning if I see this in the report, I can immediately guess that, okay, maybe this is an IP address that is being trying to intrude my network. And coming back to the example of the alert that we had set. So say we had set an alert that if the denied connections exceeded a certain amount within a stipulated time frame and you get the real-time alert notification, once you come to the Event Log Analyzer console, you can go to the Firewall Allowed Traffic report, and here you can check whether the same IP address that was being denied all this while suddenly for some reason got access to your firewall through your firewall to the critical server. And in case this happens, you immediately know that it was an attack and you can take steps to right away to go ahead and block this IP address. But you still need to know why this happened in the first place, right? So this particular IP address was being denied connection by your firewall, and for some reason, it was allowed traffic into your critical server. Now you need to find out why this happened. And to do that, you can go check your firewall rules management. So if I go to firewall rule management and click on the rules added or the rules modified or the rules deleted, and if I find that one of these things had data in it, then I would know immediately that, okay, someone on the inside changed the firewall rule, and because of that, my firewall allowed traffic for a particular IP address that was being denied the connection all this while. So in this way, we're able to do three things with Event Log Analyzer. The first is we're able to The first is we're able to create a preemptive mechanism by setting up an alert. And once we saw the alert, we could go and check the reports and find out exactly how many times this particular IP address was being denied the connections. And after being denied, was it allowed traffic? And after that, I can also find out why this happened, right? So if I knew that a particular IP address was being denied connection by the firewall and then it was allowed the connection, I can find out why this happened, whether there was a rule change made. And again, if it was a rule change that was made, it again relates to the insider threats that we talked about. Because it could well be that someone on the inside knowingly or unknowingly modified a particular firewall rule, and this allowed a malicious IP address to gain access to a critical server. Now, in addition to the firewall reports here, you've also got IDS IPS reports. So you can see things like the possible attacks, the critical attacks on your network, the attacks based on source, the destination, the severity, and of course the attack trend. So this is another very important way in which you can mitigate your network threats, because your IDS is going to log the event when something gets detected, and your SIEM solution is collecting that log and throwing up the alert for you in real time. So in this report of the critical attacks on the firewall's IDS IPS, you can see that you had uh, an IP spoof, SYN flood, and so on. And of course, as always, you can associate these reports to alerts. So you can be alerted in real time when any of these IDS IPS attacks happen. So I was just giving these examples because I wanted to let you know on what are the things we can do with Event Log Analyzer. I can't go through a complete bunch of use cases and every single report, of course, in one single workshop, but I wanted to give you the idea as to what you can achieve for network devices with Event Log Analyzer. And to sum it up, is basically three things. The first, of course, is the alerting mechanism. So you can be alerted in real time upon any suspicious or anomalous activity. And you can also get the details of things like your IDS IPS attacks. The second thing is you can go through the reports and conduct a thorough network audit. So you can see things like which were the top IP addresses that were being denied connections by the firewall, which were the top attacks based on the source, based on the destination, and so on. And the third thing is you can conduct a sort of forensic analysis with all the log data. So you can use the log search tool, which we went through last week, and you can also sort of, in a sense, the reporting console itself, you can say check things like the firewall's rules management and find out if any configuration change was the cause of a particular security incident. So in this way, I'm able to conduct a thorough firewall audit, and the same concept gets extended to all the devices across my network. So that brings me to the end of today's workshop. And like I told you, I just wanted to keep it short and crisp and give you insights as to what are the things you can achieve using Event Log Analyzer, the component in Log 360. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are available on the live chat to answer any of your questions. I hope this workshop session was useful for you in giving you some insights as to what we can do with Log 360 with regards to network device auditing. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. You can contact us offline, of course, at log360-support@manageengine.com, and we're available right now to answer any questions that you have with today's workshop.